Hello, my name is Bradley Garnefeld, and today I'm talking about IMAPS and DNS. So, IMAPS is an Internet Message Access Protocol, secure, and it is used when emails are being received from the mail server. So, SMTP/S is used for sending from client to server, and IMAPS and POP3 are used when the message is being sent from the server to the client or to another client. This operates on the application layer, and it also operates on port 993, and then it uh, uses encrypted connections through secure socket layer and transport layer security. So configuring IMAPS using Dovecot in Linux. So the first code would be used to install the Dovecot main application and then the IMAP and POP3 features. The second command would be to edit the configuration file with a text editor. And then in parentheses right there is the configuration file path. The third command would be used to generate secure socket layer keys to allow a secure connection for IMAPS. And then the fourth and fifth one would be to restart Dovecot and enable Dovecot once it's done restarting. So hardening for IMAPS, first thing would be using a strong TLS encryption. And this will help protect data that is being transmitted from client to server or server to client. And then one of the ways to better have that a stronger encryption would be to use TLS version 1.2 or higher. And then the next step would be certificate validation and verification. So by doing that, it would prevent any man-in-the-middle attacks during the transmission of that data. And then the third thing would be restricting access to services. So you would take any known IP addresses and you would restrict those accesses using firewall rules to make those changes. So DNS or domain name system, this translates domain names to IP addresses for web browsers. So web browsers can only read IP addresses and they are designated one specific IP address. It is unique to that web browser. And so you put in a URL and DNS basically takes that URL, translates it to IP addresses so that web browsers can look up that IP address and then display what needs to be shown to the user that searched the URL. And DNS runs or works off of UDP port 53. So configuring DNS using IIS Windows, you would basically just run a PowerShell script. And so you just install Windows feature named DNS, and that's basically all you'll really need to do with Windows. Configuring DNS using bind in Linux. So you would install the bind application and the DNS utilities. And then after that, you can run many of different commands to configure the DNS zone files. I didn't put them in this PowerPoint because there was just too many to, I guess, write down. They are in one of the references, though, at the end of the PowerPoint. And then the final command would be to start that bind application so that it is running and the port is open so that it can be seen on any scans. So hardening for DNS in Windows, disable recursive queries, um, secure DNS data by limiting zone transfers to specific IP addresses, authenticate DNS data by enabling DNS SEC, which is the DNS security extensions. And that basically uses digital signatures from public key cryptography method, and it strengthens that authentication. So a client and a server required those digital signatures in order to access the data and authenticate themselves. The hardening for DNS in Linux. First step would be restricting query access to specific IP addresses by using access control lists. The next step would be disabling any unnecessary services specifically related to DNS. This would basically eliminate any attacks on unneeded services uh, that are kind of just left behind and aren't really looked at. Um, and then the third thing would be enabling DNS security extension. And you can also use transaction signature keys to better secure zone transfers as well. And then here are my references. Uh, y'all have a good day.